All right. Okay, off to you guys.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So basically, what today we'll be covering is it's just going to be a informal workshop going over how to specifically market your specific skill set and what you have to offer in conversations on paper or relationship building, and that all entails to basically your professional development, how you're seen to the outside world. And what we'll focus on today are different aspects that will be used in the professional world, whether it be resumes, cover letters, essays, interviews, or just plain relationship building in a natural setting. So we have a couple of examples for you guys today. We'll be going through each of those examples. And the first one we'll begin with is resume building. So I'll share my screen right now with a sample resume. It's actually my resume that I use to send to employers. If I can just share my screen. If you can enable share screen.
Oh yeah. Okay. Um,
All right.
okay. I think. Oh, I just made you the host.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So can everyone see my screen?
Mhm.
So, okay, this is my resume. This is the resume that I send out to my potential employers. And what you want to focus on, especially in your resume, is focusing on your honor scholarships along with the education that you're receiving, what you're majoring in, what you're minoring in. If you're a high school student, what your interests are in the specific field, let's say, that you're going into. Here you can see that I've highlighted that I go to University of Pittsburgh. I'm in the College of Business Administration honors program, and then honors and scholarships. That's a key part that you want to include because that honors and scholarships section helps your future employer to look at. Hey, is this person being active and participating and being recognized for the good work that they're doing? And the next section that a lot of people look at is that pre-professional section. The pre-professional section is your experiences, the experiences that make you a professional candidate, and that can attest to you being a good member in a professional setting. And within these sections, it's key to use certain, I like to call it wordplay, where you have commands per se, the commands that like assist or develop, coordinate or capitalize. These are like key words that employers like to look at and understand what you're doing within these certain roles. So let's say one of my internship this summer, I'm assisting the business development manager, and in these parts you want to give solid examples that are quantifiable by anyone that's looking at it. And that's really the key part of that resume building, which is you want to make sure that you're keeping it as professional as possible while also giving um, examples that they can physically see, right? And physically attest to. You want to also include any skill-based initiatives that you've taken. In this example, you can see that I've used UI5 platform, Hannah did, and then I was able to use the R server. The R server is analytics software. So that's another skill that you want to make sure you include within your resume, any technical skills. And that's how you're going to network yourself, right? And that's how you're going to market yourself. You have technical skills that other people might not have that make you valuable in the role that you are looking to achieve or in the networks you're trying to build, because that's what makes it important. It continues into your any leadership and affiliations. Leadership is a key thing that I feel like anyone should need in this day and age. Leadership shows that you're willing to put yourself out there, Make sure that you're always communicating with those around you and you have a stable communication base with your network, with other people that you may not know. And of course, at the very end, you always want to have your skills. You have those quantifiable skills that they're easily able to go look at. Anyone who you're looking to network, go and look at and understand what skills you bring to the table, including languages, because languages is a key part of today's global economy. And any field you go into, languages becomes a big part. So this is a quick overview of, from a resume building standpoint, what we're looking at for marketing yourself. The first key component of marketing yourself is having that good, stable resume that uh, highlights in the least words possible who you are as a person, what you've achieved, and what you're looking to achieve. That's how I like to put it for a resume. And always try to make sure it's one page. One page is usually the limit, I would say. 2 pages if you have a portfolio or something, but one page for most events that you're networking for, or most jobs or employers that will be looking at it. So that kind of covers the resume portion. I want to briefly touch on cover letters, because that's another key point. I'm not sure if everyone here is in college or high school. I'm guessing mostly high school. So cover letters, you guys really don't have to worry about right now, but it's something to keep in mind definitely when you're applying to college, because it ties into the next aspect that we'll be discussing after cover letters being essays. But cover letters play a key role in showing how one skill of yours applies to another demanding role, and that can be seen in one of my cover letters that I sent to Boston Consulting Group. Here, I identified key characteristics about myself. I identified roles that I played in the past, how that made me a better leader or better analyst, and how that can be applied to future roles. If you guys want to take a screenshot, go ahead for any of these things. I don't mind. But this gives you an idea of what they're looking for in a cover letter. It usually is it follows the format like I used X to solve Y, and it's always good to have numbers or statistics within a cover letter showing the growth that you achieved, or the recruitment you achieved, showing that there's, again, that quantifiable data that that people in a network or as an employer would look at. This one is particularly more tuned to an employer standpoint of marketing yourself. From a professional setting, but it can also be applied again to any essays you might write. It's a good format to follow, definitely for essays and for building a resume around this, because a resume directly ties into a cover letter that you're writing. That's all I really had for cover letters. It's a brief it's basically a brief synopsis of the work you've done, again, and just putting it into more of an essay format. But Mohawk, if you want to take it from here, regarding.
Cool, man. Yeah. I'd add one thing for the cover letter part, is that mention, like, dear hiring manager. If you can find the hiring manager's name first, definitely use that. You can search through LinkedIn basically. So say you're applying for an internship at a company. What I would say is, on their website, they'll have like their talent team like page, or people page. You can find it there. You can find a hiring manager or their HR manager, so like human resources. So try to find that. Some programs will straight up say, hey, this is the hiring manager for this role, but a lot of them won't. So I think the best thing to do is, I wouldn't necessarily put dear hiring manager. I would put I would put probably something else, maybe to whom it may concern. There are a lot of different ways to start this, and you can there's a lot of different examples online that you can kind of look at. But other than that, I really think that this format's pretty good. And I think one more thing is that this is not the only way to write a cover letter. You can also write, like, for example, my cover letter, I sort of told a story about myself. And the whole point of a cover letter is just like a college essay. You're trying to express what you can't with your resume, right? Because your resume is just a list of things that you've accomplished, things you've done, your GPA, all these numbers. But at the end of the day, they're hiring people, right? So if you can tell your story, what makes you unique as a candidate, what are your skills? If you can write a nice story about that in this short format, I think you can do really well. So that's what I have to cover letter. Rashil, sorry, what was next after this?
Essays, focusing on like college essays, for example, other essays that can be used in a networking or marketing setting.
Right. So, I mean, this kind of just flows into what I was talking about, but, let's say it's for college essays. I'm sure you guys have got a lot of advice for that. So we won't really touch on that too much unless you guys want to. Is there anyone that's really outspoken on the college essays?
Oh yeah. If you don't mind, I have a question.
Sure.
How do you
Awesome.
tread the line between showing confidence in who you are and just coming off as self-absorbed or narcissistic? Because it's like.
I love that question. I love it. Because yes, I think everyone has this doubt when they're writing their essays in their head. They're like, I don't want to sound pretentious, I'm all that. There's a fine line, and I think when you start writing it, and the more practice you get, basically, you'll have a much better understanding of what's okay and what's not. And I think reading a lot of examples is probably the best thing you can do. So, you know what? You guys saw Rashil's cover letter. I'll also send mine to Aditi, and she'll send it out to you guys so you can get another example. What I'd also do is just online. You can see a lot of cover letter examples. And maybe if you guys have upperclassmen friends who are like in college already, who have been through the recruiting process, they're probably the best people to reach out to as mentors. And they'll probably have more specific, I guess, cover letters for the roles that you might be applying to. Because, a cover letter for an IT job versus like a business job or in finance is, two completely different things. And the way you market yourself for those two roles are very, very different. So
and to
what I'd say,
to add to your question, I would say that that fine line between being outspoken versus narcissistic, it always ends up being that at the very end, you're always trying to say that I know all of this, but at the end of the day, I'm open to new ideas. I'm open to new perspectives, because at the end of the day, someone doesn't know everything. There's not that one person that knows everything. And that's where I think the difference comes, where at the end, a person who's simply confident in their abilities says that I know this based on the skills that I've gathered, and I have the evidence to prove it. But at the end of the day, I'm not perfect, and I will continue to get better through other work that I'm doing. So like it's kind of like an incomplete statement where it's I've done so and so work, I've achieved these results, but I'm still working to get to that next level type of thing.
Right. And I'd also say it's better to stick your neck out there and be a little bit more on the aggressive side than to sort of shy away and not be able to express your skills. Because at the end of the day, you put yourself in the recruiter's shoes. They're looking for the best talent that they can find out of the students that are applying. So if they have someone that's confident in their skills and ability, I mean, that's just in life. If you're confident about something, then people will just kind of follow suit, even if you don't know what you're talking about. So I hate to use this phrase, but it's very applicable. Fake it till you make it if you need to.
Nice.
And that's kind of worked for me. So, hey, that's an awesome question. So definitely keep them rolling in. And feel free to interrupt as we keep going. So yeah, along the lines with that. So in terms of college essays, it's very similar to the cover letter situation. I think expressing who you are as a person is definitely tough. And essays is not something that we can, it's such a detailed topic that it's sort of on a case-by-case basis. And, it takes a lot of time to sort of work on. So, unfortunately you can't get a good glimpse at a glance, can't get a good glimpse at a glance, if that makes sense. But, so I'll just move on to interviews. If anyone has questions about essays, please follow up. We can also, Rashila, I could talk to you one-on-one, help you guys out. Sure. And we'll be saying at the end that we'll be helping out with essays if you guys need be. So we'll talk about that at the end though. So we'll move to interviews. So interviews, very tough. And now the situation, the world's kind of changing. A lot of your interviews, I'm going to bet, might be virtual, as you know, even past the COVID era, just because as companies start to realize that, hey, you know, I don't need to call this student in to my New York office to have an interview when I can just do a Zoom call for the first round. You know what I mean? So a lot of your preliminary interviews might just be phone calls or Zoom calls, and then, you know, move on to in person. But the core parts are still the same. You know, the core skills you need are still the same for an interview. So let's say let's do a case basis. Let's say you're going in for you're going at a tech startup. You're interviewing there because the interviews there are kind of tough, right? So usually what will happen is you'll have let's say the first round sort of behavioral. So here what they're sort of looking for is not if you're like a CS god and you're very technically skilled and you can do the job to perfection. They're seeing if you're a good fit culturally for the company. And this is way bigger than you think, because no one wants to work with an asshole. And this is very, very true. And a lot of companies, especially these big banks, they want to, what is it called? Maximize efficiency within their groups. So if, they want everyone to sort of have similar mindsets, basically be good people and be people that are good coworkers at the end of the day. So you don't have to be amazing. You just have to be, if you're a nice person, you should be fine with this part. The behavioral part is more of a, be yourself type of thing. And I hate to say that again because it's so cliche, but yes, be yourself, who you are, just kind of let it out as if you're talking to a friend.
And this can apply to, as Moak was attesting to, from a corporate world and from a professional world, this can apply the same to colleges. You interview for colleges. It's the same thing where they're looking for someone who's themselves, who doesn't try to grade themselves as someone who they're not. If you're genuinely a kind person who's looking to do good in the world or looking to further explore your interests, and you come off like that in an interview where you're constantly referring to how one aspect of a company or aspect of a college directly relates to what you're doing, it becomes a true value to that company. Moak, you're going to say something?
Oh no, my bad. You're good.
Yeah. So continuing on that, it's just the idea that when it comes to your interviews, you want to be as forthcoming as possible. You don't try to, like I said, portray yourself as someone you're not, because they can see right through that. And when you're coming back to the idea of marketing yourself, these interviews are a great way to do that because it's in-person interactions. You're talking, it's real FaceTime interaction with someone, not through email, not through text. It's a chance for you to have that one-on-one discussion with someone, understand who they are, because as you understand who they are, you can play the strengths of who you are as a person to better help them understand and like you as a person. Because at the end of the day, if you're marketing yourself, you want them to like what you're doing, who you are, and further continue that discussion with you. That can apply to college admission interviews or in the professional world. And playing to that tune is probably the most crucial thing.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you were in high school, would you prioritize developing your social skills over getting good grades?
I think personally, Amok, you can attest to after this. I personally think they go hand in hand. I would always say if you are looking to which one is better, I would definitely say both of them have their own value. Of course, grades matter a lot, and GPA matters a lot when applying to colleges. But when it comes to writing your essays, as much as you think it might not correlate to your social skills play a big part in who you come off as in a college essay, in a college interview, and even when you're looking to build your network with recruiters at these colleges. Because at the end of the day, those people who you meet in your school or online go and defend you as a person in front of a college admissions board. So your social skills, along with your grades, play an important role in that aspect. And again, that comes to the idea that when you're marketing yourself, they're not just looking at your grades. They're not just looking at who you are as an academic person, but as Mohawk said, who you are as a cultural fit to that university or to that professional setting.
Right. Yeah. With that being said, though, don't let your grades down. Grades are still important. It's just a general metric they want to know if you're hardworking or not, right? They don't want someone coming in the office that just cannot take simple tasks and do them, right? So they want to know that you're a hard worker, that you can take on the work that they give you and do it efficiently and with no complaints, and so GPA is just a decent metric for that. So yeah, I would say, try to develop both at the same time if you can. So I think this is a good segue into relationship building. And this is sort of the last point here. It's already 6, so we'll try to wrap this up. But now relationship building. Wait, actually, let me go back for the interview part. I think one thing you guys can do in the interim before you guys even have interviews is start preparing for them. And I know this sounds like really like jumping the gun here, but there's a lot of common questions that come up in almost every interview you'll ever have, right? Like, tell me about yourself. That's a huge one. Another question is like, when was the time you faced a challenge and how did you deal with it, right? All these questions are try to like, the point of these questions is try to get inside your brain and see how you think and your thought process. And so that tells a lot about you as a person, as a worker, etc. So in the interim, you guys can go online, just search up, very common interview questions. And I'm sure some of you already have. And then, prepare your answers for these. I mean, not to the word, but have a general guideline in your head of what you're going to say, how you're going to bring it up, your segue, stuff like that. Because if you have that in your back pocket, it'll be very, very useful when it's muscle memory. When you're going to interview, you're not going to have to sweat about these like questions. For sure, you're going to get a lot of other weird questions outside the technical questions, because you should be completely prepared for whatever technical questions they ask you. It's usually very basic for whatever it is. If you're going in for a CS interview, if you're applying for a position that needs to know Python, like you better know what you need to do. Or if you're in a finance role, you better know how to walk through, like, say, a DCF model. So, like, outside the technical part, all these questions, like, about, you and how you are, there's going to be a lot of curveballs that they throw at you. I've even heard of, Rashil, I'm sure you have too, like, at the big banks for Wall Street, they'll ask you, or even at, like, Google, all these big companies, they'll ask you a brain teaser. So not many people know this. This is something that hopefully you guys should know. But they'll ask you like a brain teaser. They'll ask you like how many street lamps are in New York City or in Manhattan? And so you're not supposed to know the exact answer. And if you search it up beforehand, don't tell them like, oh, I know, it's like 12,300, whatever. They want to see, again, your thought process. So they want to see, are you analytical? Are you logical? The way that you think, is it very process oriented? So in answer to that, like, try to prepare answers like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's tough, man. There's just a lot of curveballs that can throw at you in an interview, whether it's college interview or at your job. So definitely, just if you can start preparing now, I think you'll be in a good shape later. So any questions about that?
Yeah. If you guys don't have any questions, we'll move right into the final part. I know we're a little tight on time, but
right.
So what we want to focus on here is relationship building, and with relationship building, that's probably, I would say, along with everything that we've discussed, one of the most important aspects of what defines your brand, what people see. And that can be anywhere from simple discussions with professional individuals to how you develop, let's say, your LinkedIn network, how you develop your LinkedIn profile. Because LinkedIn's a great gateway to a professional world, and really putting your name out there, putting who you are as a person, and everything that you have on your resume or cover letter condensed into an online profile that is specifically used in the professional world. I've used LinkedIn for connecting with my college recruiters, my college admissions officers in my region. It's a great tool for searching other avenues you might be interested in. Let's say you're interested in medicine and you want to shadow a doctor. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you can find hospitals in your area, find professionals, doctors that work in that hospital, and then connect with them with a small note saying, hey, I'm interested in being so-and-so doctor, so-and-so physician. Can I come and shadow you? It's as simple as that. And probably the best advice I've ever gotten from my career coach is that when it comes to networking and building your professional profile, it's always important to maintain those connections with follow-ups. Because let's say you send 100 different LinkedIn connections with 100 different notes, and 20 people get back to you. It's important to maintain those 20 connections because those 20 people are invested in helping you grow. It's important to make sure that you find a mentor who can help you um, go down the field that you want to go down. Let's say, like Mark gave example of a CS major, someone who has gone down the path you want to go down, and you connect with them, and they're receptive and they give you all this information. Don't let go of that connection and just use them that one time. Make sure you develop that connection, nurture that connection by giving follow-ups. It can be as simple as I hope you're doing well. I'll talk to you sometime during Thanksgiving. Follow up during Thanksgiving. Say, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. How are you doing? How's work? What other advice can you give me? Type of thing. So that LinkedIn becomes a crucial part of who you are when it comes to marketing yourself. Mo can definitely attest to that. But other than that, you can use other resources for building that relationship, whether it be professors in your college, your teachers, because all these people are here to help you. Guidance counselors, career coaches, and these are all free resources wherever you're going, that can assist you in educating you on how to make you a better professional individual. Mark, you have anything to add to that?
I agree completely. But one thing is that, I don't know. I haven't personally made those connections and followed up with the whole how are you doing thing. It's more like I don't think you necessarily have to, but that's a very good strategy. And what Rashil said is a surefire way to keep relationship going. But these guys at these roles, they're getting hundreds of messages probably, especially if you're going for a competitive job. Let's say I keep using Wall Street example, but it's just a good overall example. These guys are getting hundreds of messages a day on LinkedIn. They're getting cold call emails from students all over the US, all over the world about, hey, I'm applying for, this, that, whatever. I wanted to see, they try to get a phone call or a coffee chat, whatever. They're doing the same thing as you. So I think the best thing to do is try to leverage your in-person meeting times. So when you meet somebody somewhere, they'll remember your face, you know what I mean? And so when you have a warm introduction already, I completely agree with Rashil and try to leverage that. And yeah, follow up if you need to. I haven't done this personally. So for example, for one thing I do is I'd meet these professionals that come in to speak at Temple, right, for our different events. And so then after the events, there's a Q&A. So if you have, by the way, if you're in a Q&A thing and there's some important speakers coming, don't be afraid. Raise your hand and ask questions, or ask good questions. I was gonna say that there are no stupid questions, but yes, there are stupid questions. So don't ask a dumb question. Just ask something, something that's on your mind, whatever. Just try to come up with something good, and they'll notice you. They'll remember you for that. It feels good to be, the person that they say, oh, that was a good question. They'll remember you, and then you can go up to them after the session, after during the Q&A, and be like, hey, they'll remember you. Like, oh, hey, you asked the question, right? So this happened to me many times, and it's really, really helpful. It's just an easy way to, I guess, break the ice. You don't have to go up and be like, hi, my name's whatever, and shake their hand. They already kind of know you, and when you come in, it'll be a warm introduction, and then from there you sort of, I guess, talk to them about their role, because people love to talk about themselves. So definitely ask some questions about how did they get to where they are now? Do they enjoy their role? Stuff like that. You can keep the conversation casual too, but for first meeting, I would just play it safe and not talk about anything too personal. Just stick it to business, about the role that you're applying for, whatever. And so then you try to segue your way in and try to maximize that one interaction by maybe being like, hey, by the way, I'm applying to this program at your company, and I just wanted to see if you knew anything more about it, etc. At that point, it's what is it called? It's implied that you're sort of asking about if they can help you out. So they should kind of say something like, hey, I got you. Yeah, send me over your resume. I'll slide it over to HR for you. You seem like a good kid or whatever. And if they don't, then it's a 50-50 thing. But if it's better to play on the side of more aggressive. So maybe be like, hey, okay, cool. Thank you for the information about the role. Do you mind maybe helping me out in whatever we can? Again, that's totally up to you. Depends on how you, because the worst case is like, oh, you know, there's gonna be like, they'll politely say no. They'll be like, oh, there's a lot of people applying, you know, I can't really do that. They have a certain process, whatever. So it won't be like, you know, no, like, you know, screw you. So either way, there's not too much risk. I don't know, Rashil, like,
Yeah,
it's a
I
tough one.
think
How
one
would you
of
deal
the
with it?
main takeaways is that come in with the elevator pitch, because a
Yeah.
personal elevator pitch about who you are, what you do in these situations, more than just asking them for just, can you forward my resume, or can you introduce me to these people. You have to sell yourself at the end of the day, and by selling yourself, you give that elevator pitch about who you are. It's basically a shortened down version of your resume, or who you are as a person. By doing that in a concise way, you're able to explain to that individual who you are, what you do, what you're interested in, and that leads to a lot of connections, and that comes to a point of just taking time to understanding what are the most crucial aspects of yourself, what intrigues others the most, um, and playing to those tunes to help craft uh, a picture that you can display to the professional world, to professional individuals, and that can help land you opportunities. Not always, but it gives you a better chance of landing those opportunities that you're looking for. So with that, do you guys have any questions? I know we went over a lot of information, but we're open to any questions you may have.
How important is the way you dress in terms of like meeting people?
It depends on the setting. If they've already predetermined that it'll be a casual setting, casual attire. Let's say you're just meeting at a coffee shop or something. I would say in those settings, I mean, we definitely don't wear like shorts and a shirt, a plain shirt. Try to keep it a little like semi-casual. Definitely for more professional events. Um, and professional settings, it has to be more like for men at least, three-piece suit, a blazer or something like that. For women, it's a more professional attire. Yeah, I think your appearance matters a lot. Definitely staying on top of the game in terms of that. But other than that, it's just understanding the setting you're in and playing to whatever that may be. And most of the times you can ask them, how what setting we are meeting in, and they'll give a responsive answer, and you can play it based on that.
Cool. Do you have any book recommendations? It's probably would be fun.
Actually, I just read a book called Never Eat Alone. I forget who the author is, but the title is Never Eat Alone. It's a great networking book, understanding how to network, leverage your network. So it's definitely a good read. I've read a lot of, I guess another good read would be successful individuals. Just read about, I read a book about Elon Musk, how he transformed his network into building the companies that he's built. It's interesting to read how successful people have established what they've created by using that network and branding themselves, basically. Yeah.
So,
Actually, Trump is a great example as well. Although he may be
Trump.
controversial, he has marketed himself like basically perfectly. He's a great example of someone who's taken who he is as a person and turned it into a global brand, the Trump brand. But do you guys have any other questions? Anything else you guys want to go over?
Oh yeah, I guess, what is your past career path, or what has it been like so far?
What do you mean? Like in terms of finding internships or my educational career turned into a professional type of experience?
Yeah, just like I guess your qualifications.
Hmm. I mean, I wouldn't say in terms of like educational wise, I'm not uh I definitely try to maintain who I am educationally and how that turns into a professional my professional life, because I would definitely say both of them go hand in hand. As you mentioned, GPA plays as I said, GPA plays a big part on how you can transform it into being a good professional individual, because that's one of the first things they see, right? So by having that good educational background, you can use that to transform into a successful professional career. Did that answer your question? I don't know.
Um, I guess more like what past jobs have you had, or like where did you
Uh,
go for
so
college?
I go to University of Pittsburgh. I'm in the honors college.
Oh,
So it's that opportunity was presented to me through my past experiences. Actually, I didn't know about the selectivity of that program until I went to a program at SAP, and that's where I did my practicum internship. For anyone that goes to STEM, they know of the practicum experience. Actually, in that, it was more of a technical role rather than just shadowing. We actually got hands-on with the software that they use, and we're develop something actually quantifiable and presentable to senior leadership at SAP. So it was a great experience, and from that, I was able to learn about this honors program offered at Pittsburgh. Uh, I was originally going to do something more in the financial technology space, but I've transitioned more into just finance now. And that's where really the leveraging your network comes into more of a play.
cool.
Any other questions?
No.
I know we went a little bit over time, but yeah, for anyone who has any other questions, feel free to just email me. I'll type in my email here, but yeah, just reach out to me if you have any other questions. I can look at essays, resumes, cover letters that you may have, and I can give you my 2 cents on it. Definitely reach out to more people than just one if you're looking for advice on any type of writing or professional development material. I definitely reach out to more than one person, but I'd be more than happy to look at it for you if you have any questions.
All right, I have one last question. How important do you think the college environment impacted your experience there?
I think college is a great opportunity to network. I think my network has grown, I would say, tenfold since I've entered college. College, everyone is looking to be successful. Everyone's looking to gain a leg up. At different colleges have different experiences. Some are more cutthroat, and it's a lot more hostile, I would say. But at least in my college, everyone's looking to help the next person become a better professional individual. They'll always be willing to give a helping hand. My friends at college have helped my professional development. My teachers, my professors, my career counselors, all have done the same. And I feel like that's the environment you'll encounter in college. Everyone's looking towards the next step because you're basically adult at that point. You're fending for yourself and you're doing everything for yourself, and that's where you really get to learn who you are as an individual and grow from it.
Oh, fun.
But is that everything?
Yeah. Most other people have questions.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? Okay then.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. Mohawk had to leave a little early, but thank you so much for having us on. Again, if you have any questions, please let us know. and we'd be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. What are your social medias so people can reach you?
Yeah, so I think on your Instagram post and on LinkedIn you had tagged us, Factum Tutors. It's just Factum Tutors, one word. So I'll type it in the chat. You can follow us on. We don't have an Instagram though. We mostly keep it because our target audience is mostly parents for tutoring services. We keep it on LinkedIn, Yelp, Google reviews. Those are ways you can usually find them. We have a website. I'll actually put down our website here. Um, so if anyone wants to recommend us to anyone that you know, we offer college guidance, college essay guidance, everything that goes into the college application process. We have tutors that in Carnegie Mellon, UPenn, so they go to prestigious colleges as well as both of us, me and Mohawk. So it's a great way to build who you are on top of what we've learned today, because we haven't covered it in a short time. We haven't covered everything that we would usually cover with if you had used our services through our tutoring network. But if you want more information, you want more help in that aspect, definitely give us a look on our website.
All right, awesome. So yeah, check out Factum Tutors on LinkedIn, Facebook, and then their website. Again, thank you so much. And if you guys would like, please consider donating to Allied Hope. We're basically a fundraiser in which all our funds goes towards 3 food banks, including Downtown Lord's Pantry, Manna on Main Street, and Upper Darby Food Bank, just to help feed those who can't afford to purchase food, especially a lot of families lost their jobs due to COVID-19. So we would just love to help feed those families and help those food banks. And I also left a couple links below in the email, including our merchandise and our GoFundMe and our website, just if you want to learn more about us. And if you guys also want to attend more calls or have Factum Tutors coming again, let us know. We would love to have you guys again.
Yeah, and we'll try to bring up new content for you guys if you ever want that. So thank you guys so much for having us on. I'm going to leave right now, but thank you again. And we'll be reaching out to you about donating for the amount of people that came to today's meeting. All right, cool. Okay, thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.